This is Gradowski of WeAreChange.org here in Switzerland, covering Bilderberg, joined, of course, by Jason Burmis all the way back in New York. And, of course, the news does not stop, especially in the United States, where our political discourse is becoming more intense and heated than ever before, with major political parties after each other's throats, with, of course, investigations. We're going to talk about that, plus a lot more, of course, talking about the former special counsel, former FBI head Robert Mueller, breaking his silence recently and saying, quote, "If we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so." Explosive words, but Jason, oh my God, I'm fatigued covering this story. Because again, I still have to point out, it's still all on the basis of a debunked intelligence agency conspiracy theory that was pushed on by the mainstream media that, of course, didn't find any collusion, and on its own basis was started based off a lie. 0 Americans have been indicted for conspiracy with Russia, but yet again, this has not stopped the fervor of people calling for impeachment. Jason, what do you think of these calls for impeachment? What do you think of these comments by Robert Mueller? We're going to be playing clips of him in just a little bit as well, but what's your take on all of this?
Well, I'm totally expected. It's exactly where I thought it would go. I kept telling people this was not going to end, even with the Mueller report. As soon as I found out there was a second section as large as the first, as soon as we saw that there were 11 specific counts on what? "Quote unquote obstruction of justice." And we're going to play a little clip of Mueller not only stepping down from the special counsel, which makes you wonder, you would think the special counsel with this investigation done would be totally wrapped up. So I don't know why he exactly had to step down. He doesn't want to testify, but he outright says the only reason that we didn't charge him is because you can't charge a sitting president with a felony. And he talked around that. I'm thinking to myself, well, what about the fact there was no initial crime? So him coming out and saying what I already knew he was going to say is that we did not exonerate the president doesn't shock me at all. And people like Cory Booker, who are establishment politicians who are trying to get their name out there, they'll make statements like, Robert Mueller's statement makes it clear Congress has a legal and moral obligation to begin impeachment proceedings immediately.
Jason, before we go to impeachment, before we get in there, because it's Elizabeth Warren, it's pretty much the whole Democratic 2020 ticket that's exploding with this and using it as the political toy. Let's of course talk about the comments first, and then, because again, this is reaching a far wider reaction, especially amongst the Democrats, which of course I want to talk about in great detail. But introduce some of these clips, because this is pretty stunning video, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, again, here he is, Mueller just trying to get by on his small little press conference, and we'll play it.
The report describes the results and analysis of our obstruction of justice investigation involving the president. The order appointing me special counsel authorized us to investigate actions that could obstruct the investigation. And we conducted that investigation, and we kept the office of the acting attorney general apprised of the progress of our work. And as set forth in the report, after that investigation, if we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so. We did not, however, make a determination as to whether the president did commit a crime. The introduction to the volume 2 of our report explains that decision. It explains that under long-standing department policy, a president cannot be charged with a federal crime while he is in office.
Let me stop it right there. So there's the end-all be-all. He says it's policy that we can't charge a president with a crime. So instead, we just laid out 11 crimes of obstruction of justice and let Barr decide, and now this can continue. Luke?
I mean, he very carefully tailored his words to achieve an effect, which I think is the effect that he wanted. He pretty much poured gasoline on this whole kind of impeachment fervor, which died down. Nancy Pelosi said we shouldn't be calling for pretty much ultimately generalizing, not verbatim, but saying, hey, we should focus on the actual issues and not just impeachment. But right now, this has spurred up this wide-ranging call from almost everyone running to be president of the United States in 2020. Elizabeth Warren just tweeted, Mueller's statements makes clear what those who have read his report know. It is an impeachment referral, and it's up to Congress to act. They should. Cory Booker, you're reading some of his other tweets. He's making a statement. Congress has a legal and moral obligation to begin impeachment immediately. And of course, we have to understand here, if this is what the Democratic Party is going to be running on, they will lose in 2020. They were constantly complaining, and I believe unfairly complaining. Is there wrongdoing? Sure. There's wrongdoing on both sides here, though. The Attorney General is investigating Comey and Clapper. There's wrongdoing on a lot of different sides, and it's actually nothing compared to the true corruption, to the true horrible illegal activities that happen through Washington. A lot of this is just white collar stuff. But again, if I have to say it, this whole political fighting and bickering was started by Comey and Clapper. That's, of course, my opinion with the back and forth that's happening there. But to me, they're investigating. There's going to be more investigations against Trump. Trump's Attorney General Barr is investigating them. And I think this had to be one of the contributing factors to why Robert Mueller came out, because right now, Attorney General Barr is putting pressure on them, saying, hey, we're going to look at everything that you guys did to see if you guys did anything illegal during your so-called investigation. And of course, there was a lot of political maneuvering in there, to say the least. What do you think of that assessment, Jason? Do you agree with it or disagree with it?
Well, I think that, yeah, you're going to be seeing dueling investigations right now. It's out in the open, right? Trump has given Barr the authority to declassify anything in the campaign on spying. He's openly talked about the United Kingdom connection, obviously referring to the Steele dossier. In that investigation, he's talked specifically about Strzok and Page, his lover. He's very, very vocal about that. Brennan, Comey, Clapper, he says they've got to be on the lookout. Or all of these things that we were privy to well over a year ago, people like mainline politicians at the time like Trey Gowdy were letting us know. Devin Nunes were letting us know. And listen, I'm not about left or right, but it is so blatant that this illegal spying took place on Trump in an attempt to basically try to get him compromised in case he won, and then he did. And this headline by Slate is shameful. William Barr's new authority, it's a new authority to declassify anything he wants is a threat to national security. No, it's a threat to the truth coming out to the people. In fact, I would say this, I would hope more attorney generals declassify what? More documents. I'm not a child. If you're watching this, chances are you're not a child either. So why is it that big corporations and big daddy government get to tell you what they want, lie to your face, and sell you on their agendas because they know better while classifying documents? My ass. So Slate, I got a stinky left nut for you to suck. And how dare you run that headline? That's how I feel about it.
Family-friendly show, Jason. Family-friendly show.
That's as friendly as it gets.
You're starting to sound more like an anarchist there.
No. No.
And those are some of the talking points I was making when it comes to anarchy. But regardless of that, I also wanted to point out here that Donald Trump just moments ago also tweeted that, quote, nothing changes from the Mueller report. There was insufficient evidence, and therefore in our country, a person is innocent. The case is closed. Thank you. And again, Donald Trump playing a lot of defense here. A lot of people are jumping on this. Sadly, this is something that we're going to have to continue to talk about. But again, am I wrong here? I don't see anything but like petty white-collar crime on both of these individuals wasting everyone's time. That's kind of my overall assessment of this.
Well, let me stop you now because even Fox News has taken this report and spun it. And listen, remember, a lot of the things in that report are flat out lies, folks. When he talks about Julian Assange and the possibility of Seth Rich leaking this information, remember, people like Ray McGovern, people like Bill Binney, longtime analysts have said this was not a Russian hack. You didn't look at the servers. It was an internal leak. People like Seymour Hersh, who were recorded stealthily, talked about how Seth Rich had a Dropbox and got money for his information. This isn't Jason Burmis talking about it. This is a man that broke the Abu Ghraib story through Chelsea Manning's leaks that no one else wanted to talk about. You know those Assange leaks that we're talking about right now? The reason that he's maybe going to be extradited? This goes all the way back to 2010. And a guy named Seymour Hersh who also weighed in on this. Now, you look at this Fox spin, and this really wants to make me throw up as well. They talk about the most important thing in that report, the lie that other nations are going to hack our elections or somehow get into our social media and take over again. And who are they? Well, they're the usual suspects. It's Russia, it's China, it's Iran, it's North Korea. And it's like, guys, why don't we just go back to the paper ballot system and we count votes again, and then we don't have to worry about the hacky and the wacky. But that's not talked about. Instead, they want to pump more money into systems like DynCorp and others where they have these voting machines and rigged elections, Luke, and it turns my stomach.
Yeah, I mean, we've been screaming about electronic voting for a while, saying, hey, well, there should be some transparency. Maybe we should even be on the blockchain. Maybe there should be receipts. And, of course, that's not how DynCorp and the other major kind of pushers of electronic voting
Luke, let me stop because I misspoke there. It's Diebold. I'm sorry. It's not DynCorp. It's Diebold, yes.
DynCorp is the military-industrial complex one. Yeah. You're totally right about that. But, again, the last point of view, I just saw Kamala Harris. She just also tweeted, what Robert Mueller basically did was return an impeachment referral. Now it is up to Congress to hold this president accountable. We need to start impeachment proceedings. It's our constitutional obligation. In my opinion, again, there's been so much disinformation. There's been so much propaganda. I don't think this impeachment is going to work. I don't think they're going to get impeachment. I think there's going to be hearings. There's going to be more investigations. And it's just going to be the usual run-of-the-mill white-collar crime with politicians who are after power, just doing everything they can to gain more power. That's what's pretty much is happening here, in my opinion. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Always appreciate your comments. Wish me best of luck here on my on-the-ground reporting. We're still going to be doing 4 videos every single day for you here on We Are Change, and also our backup channel, News for a Change. So don't forget to stay tuned for that. Click the notification button. And Jason, anything else you want to say?
You know, I do want to just thank everybody out there that made this trip absolutely possible. We actually went over our goal, so as long as Luke does not get arrested or brutalized, we're going to try to take some of that money, and we're going to be doing a video on it later, but maybe doing Bohemian Grove this year. We'll see. It's definitely something we've been talking about the past couple days, seeing that we were able to really pump out over $2,000 in the last 2 days. So once again, I thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Let's hope Luke doesn't get arrested. Let's hope that he puts Kushner on the spot. That's what I'm hoping for, Luke. I'm looking for a Radowski-Kushner showdown where you sneak some Pompeo in. So, guys,
or Stacey Abrams.
Yeah, Stacey Abrams, whatever, Stacey Abrams. What are they going to have?
She's being treated by the mainstream media. Holy cow, man.
Yeah, but I look at her as more as like, okay, let's bring her in, and if we have a Democratic candidate and we can't get a good one for VP, maybe we stick her there, or possibly groom her for a Secretary of State or another cabinet position. Again, that's all speculation, guys.
Hickenlooper wasn't invited back this year as well, so he might have not impressed people last year.
Who was that? I'm sorry?
Hickenlooper, the governor of Colorado.
Hickenlooper, you're talking about. John Hickenlooper. Yes, absolutely. And again, you want to see Luke take on Hickenlooper, check out our Bilderberg coverage from last year. But guys, thank you once again. And hey, you guys, get out there and be the change you want to see in the world.